everyone. My name is Sabrina Woods. I'm a career counselor who works part-time at Northeastern University, and I also have a private practice where I help people with career life transitions as a holistic career life coach. And I'm a LinkedIn trainer, teaching workshops here in the US, and I've also had an opportunity to teach overseas in the UK and in the UAE. I have been amazed by this tool. I have seen so many cool connections happen from a networking standpoint, jobs being landed, and people just learning so much from this tool. So it's going to be hopefully an opportunity for anyone watching this or here in the audience to have the ability to see that this tool, LinkedIn, is so much more than just your resume online, much more robust than that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm actually going to show you a social media broad video. It's by Eric Qualman, and if you want to go back to it, you can do a Google search on social media revolution or Eric Qualman's name. So let me just escape out of here and jump into this video, which I think gives us a really good idea about how important social media is. So we're going to go ahead with this. Jump back here into PowerPoint. So what I noticed, I notice something new each time I see that video, and it reminds me of how important taking control of your digital identity is. So it's for example, this tool, this thing, social media, isn't going to go away, so we might as well jump on board and make sure we take control of our digital presence online. So let's jump into LinkedIn in particular, since that's one of the most important tools you can use. And here's what we're going to cover tonight. We're going to talk about how and why LinkedIn is valuable, what to have in your profile. We're going to go in particular into customizing your headline, having a strong summary, and a visually compelling media links. We're also going to cover building connections, the concept of informational interviewing, and doing those informational interviews utilizing LinkedIn connections, and strategies for participating in groups. And last, we'll talk a little bit about researching companies. So when you look at some statistics, it is pretty impressive. This 330 million, I think, is actually up to 350 million at this point. When I first started teaching LinkedIn, it was 1 new user per minute. Now it's up to 2 new users per second, 22 different languages, a pretty high annual income. 40% of people are actually accessing the site daily, and 187 million unique visitors come to LinkedIn monthly. So some pretty impressive statistics for this social media tool. Now, when we look at your sort of digital footprint, this shows how important it really is. There's a 75% chance if you work in HR, your boss is going to say to you, you have to go online and research those candidates at some point when you're bringing them in either before or after an interview. And the good news is that 85% say that having at least some positive things online is going to influence those recruiters to some extent. So I guess what this says is from today's session, at minimum, what you want to do is have a really strong LinkedIn profile. So that would be the minimum. Hopefully you're going to do more than that after you see some networking capabilities, but that would be a great starting point. The other statistic that's really impressive is that 94% of recruiters are using social media in their recruitment efforts. Some are using it to screen candidates, and some are using it to find candidates, and LinkedIn is their #1 choice. What I like to do before we dive into LinkedIn itself is share some stories, because I've had a lot of different things happen to me personally or to people that I've worked with, success stories basically because of LinkedIn. So my first story is about Anne. She came to me one day, a couple years ago, actually, maybe like 2 years ago, and she said, Sabrina, I noticed on LinkedIn that you're connected to Heather. I'm about to apply for a job at Fisher College, and Heather's the director. And she said to me, do you happen to know Heather well enough to let her know that I've applied for this career counseling position? Now, luckily, I had recently met Heather, and I was able to reach out to Heather, send a message along, and say, Anne, who is fabulous, has just applied for your open position. Long story short, 2 to 3 interviews later, Anne ended up landing the job. Heather, who I saw a few months afterwards, came and said to me, by the way, I didn't have to Google Anne because she came as a recommendation from you. So that told me 2 things. One, yes, recruiters or hiring managers are going to go and search you, your online presence. And 2, having this tool called LinkedIn to be able to find out who knows who is incredibly powerful. So another story also has to do with landing a job. One day I was in a LinkedIn group, and I noticed that Vicki was looking to hire a career counselor. So a lot of these just happen to be career counselor stories because they happen to me personally. I saw this job posting, and I immediately thought of our current intern named Jen, and I thought, wow, this could be a really good job for her. So I let Jen know that I saw this posting, and I also let Vicki know when Jen said she was going to apply. Long story short is 2 to 3 interviews later, Jen was offered the job. So if I hadn't noticed that job posted in that group, this connection might not have ever happened. So things, connections are happening, jobs are being found and being landed, all because of LinkedIn. But there's something else that's going on this social media resource, and that is that people are actually having the ability to grow their network and grow their presence and their reputation. This story happened, comes from a couple of years ago. I think it was 2002. I was at a career services conference in Portland, Maine. I had just arrived, just walked into the building where the conference was going to be, the hotel. And this woman, Ava, was walking down the stairs, and she yells my name. And I'm kind of like, the fake smile and the, I'm not sure who she is, and I'm searching my brain going, oh gosh, who's this woman? I was really fortunate. Right away, she walked up to me and she said, Sabrina, I know you from the CCTF LinkedIn group. And I was kind of startled. She knew me from a photograph that's this big inside a LinkedIn group. So I thought, wow, this was my jaw-drop experience where I thought, this tool is pretty amazing if someone picked me out of the crowd based on a tiny photo, all because I like to contribute and add and feedback and questions inside a LinkedIn group. So that kind of hopefully gets our appetite wet for the idea that LinkedIn has a lot more going on than just a resume. And what we're going to do next is we're going to go right into the tool itself. Go right to the profile and start working on you enhancing your profile. You have a handout, but I'll also add that that handout gets updated all the time on my website. So you can go to sabrina-woods.com, click on the LinkedIn tab, and go to the job search handout. LinkedIn loves to change things. So when they do, I update this virtual handout so you can go back and refer to it, especially if you ever lose the hard copy. Okay, let me escape out of here and jump back into LinkedIn itself. Okay, so where we're going to head is just to start looking at the profile itself. Actually, wait, one more sidestep here. I wanted to share with you a quick note about settings, because when you're making changes to your LinkedIn profile, it's great to turn off the notification that you're making changes. So let's go up here, hover over your picture in the upper right-hand corner, and then select Privacy and Settings. It's always going to ask you for your password, so just know that's normal. Let me get rid of this. Okay. So where we're going is the very top one. It says turn on off your activity broadcasts. What I'm doing if I'm making a whole bunch of changes to my LinkedIn profile is I'm going to uncheck this. By unchecking it, I'm not sending out messages on people's homepage whenever I change my profile, make a recommendation, or follow companies. So if you don't want to bother your first level connections and have that being posted, you can uncheck it and then hit Save Changes. One other thing while I'm in here is later on we're going to talk about joining groups. If you join a group but you don't set the frequency of how much email you get from this group, you could end up getting a daily email. And I don't know about you, but I already get enough email. I'm thinking most people do. So let's pop in here, set the frequency. You'll see I have no email, no email, no email, and then that Career Counselor Technology Forum, the CCTF group I was mentioning earlier, I get a weekly digest email. So just know this is where you can change your settings for that so you don't get overloaded with extra stuff you don't want. And you can belong to up to 50 groups. Okay, that's it for settings. We're going to go back into profile. And we're going to start right at the top going through some of these elements. The first thing, and you can follow along right on your handout, the first thing is the professional headline or header, which is right there at the top. Let me walk over here. Let's see if I can get this. There we go. Okay. So right underneath your name, you have this really valuable real estate where you can customize it. Even as a student, you can select some keywords that have to do with the industry you're targeting or the kind of work you want to do. Even if you don't already have experience in that field, you can say interested in or focused on. One example from the handout I have on here is engineering graduate student focused on medical device R&D. This person doesn't even have to have the experience yet. They're just saying that's what they're focused on. So you can think about what is it that you're going after? Where are you targeted to go to next? And put that in if you're a student. Here you'll see what I'm doing is I'm covering a bunch of different things that I'm involved in. Holistic career life coach, LinkedIn trainer, higher education professional, and then I have this unusual little piece here, collaborator and connector. What I'm doing is I'm differentiating myself from other career counselors. So you can also think, well, what differentiates you as a student in that particular sector or industry or major that you're in and you're studying? And you can add those keywords in. Okay, next up is number 2, says photo. So every once in a while, I see a photo of a full person's body. I can't make out their face. So that's a disadvantage. One of the things we want to do with our photo is we want to have from shoulders on up so that people can identify you. Now, one time I had to tell one of our students who was working in our office, he really needed to remove the 1/3 of his girlfriend that was showing in the picture. This is kind of, distracting to see that 1/3. With an iPhone or a smartphone digital camera, we can have pictures in a heartbeat uploaded. So no reason not to put on something that's related to your industry. If you're in financial services or something more formal, put on a suit jacket. If you're an artist, you can be a little more relaxed, right? So you can allow it to show off where you are in your industry. Mine, I can't really see the bottom part, but I have a blazer on and a scarf. I wanted to be a little softer than having a full suit. So again, you can decide here. The other thing is an engaging smile goes a long way. Every once in a while I see a grimace or really flat. Do you really want to, if somebody has this frown on their face, it makes you not even want to interact with them, right? So be inviting. All right, our next one is, we're going to do this together. Customize your public profile URL. Let me go into edit mode here real quick. I'm in edit mode. Hang on, let me just scroll down. Put this back up. Right underneath your photo, you have a public profile URL. That just means you have a LinkedIn website, if you will. This right here, I've customized, and I use it on my resume. I use it in my email signature, and I also use it on my business card. What it means is that someone can go right to that URL and see my page. So let's just show you how to edit it right now. You click on the pencil, blue pencil, and then because I've already changed mine, it's going to look different than you in the audience. You're going to see somewhere on there, it's going to say something like customize your public profile. And what you're doing is adding in, trying to get your first name, last name. No spaces, no dashes, no periods. If you can't get first name, last name, try adding a middle initial, try adding a number, or flipping your name. I could be Woods Sabrina if Sabrina Woods was already taken. It's such a quick thing to edit and change. And then again, very cool to have on your resume or have in your email signature. Super simple to just add into those places. Okay, so I'm going to go cancel out of this, go back to edit profile view. The next one we're on is probably one of the most important we're going to talk about, and it's also the one that's kind of avoided, and that is summary. Let me scroll down here for a moment so we can get to, actually, hang on. I'm going to view it as profile so you can see the whole thing, and I'll show you what I have for my summary, and then we'll talk it out and show you more examples. The summary is your chance to tell a perfect stranger a little bit about you and position yourself for what you're doing next. If you're going after an internship or an after-graduation job, what is it you're looking for? And what are some of those skills and traits that you possess that you want to show off? So think about it maybe even as your elevator pitch or your 30-second commercial. If someone's never met you before, what is it that you want them to know about you within only a few sentences or a couple short paragraphs? In mine, the approach I took was one first sentence and then 3 sections. I have 3 different parts to my work: the counseling work, the facilitating workshops, and then my LinkedIn training work. So I broke it up that way. Let's take a moment, though, and look at some other examples from students and other people. So I'm going to go, this is hyperlinked on your handout when you go into the online version. I'm going to go into my own website here. And if you're on your laptop, you can open up another page, another tab, and go to sabrina-woods.com. Once you're here, you can go into the LinkedIn section. And the handout itself, let me just scroll down a little bit. Lots of resources here, but the handout we were talking about today is the very first one. That's the one I keep up to date, and it's got lots of hyperlinks. So I know the flat piece of paper says click here. Frustrating, but go to this version and you'll be able to click and get lots of information. Let's jump in, though, to sample profile summaries. Okay, first person I want to talk about is Justin. He studied criminal justice, a recent graduate, and his first sentence really grabbed me when I came across it. Justin is saying, passion and diligence are two traits that I believe most reflect me as an individual. Ooh, that made me want to know more about him. He goes on and tells his story, and so telling your story is one sort of style. He features some of his belief and kind of his personality and his attitude. He says things like, it is my belief that this passion is the key to being successful in any endeavor that one sets their mind to. So this is one style. Let's check out another style. The next one's very different. It's Jessica. She's a research scientist, PhD, and she has talked about in the very first opening sentence that she's a research scientist seeking to better understand how neural activity motivates and shapes human behavior. What I like about what Jessica did here is she made it human. She made it not too sciencey, so that an everyday HR person or an everyday individual like me who's not in the sciences would understand it. She also went in here and talked about my supervisors and colleagues would describe me as a driven, resourceful individual who maintains a positive, proactive attitude when faced with adversity. Now, I don't know a lot about science, but I can only imagine that you have to spend a long time on multiple experiments and long hours, hard work in the lab. And so that positive attitude and that perseverance, I think would be a phenomenal trait to have in that profession. I also like how she said that she is currently seeking employment opportunities that will allow me to use my diverse skill sets and develop and promote technologies that benefit human health. When I was working with Jessica, one of the things she said is, Sabrina, I don't really know what I want to go into, so how am I supposed to position myself in my LinkedIn profile? So guess what she did? She left it really broad, and she said specific fields of interest include data analytics, biotech, and pharma. So we don't have to let our LinkedIn profile narrow us. It's okay to stay broad. We don't always know what we want, and we don't want to cut back on different opportunities. So she did a really great job of demonstrating that. I'm going to skip over the third one and just say you're welcome to come back in here. It's a mid-career professional in business, and you can see what her professional objective is down here and her specialty areas. She put in a bunch of keywords there. But I do want to close with the fourth one, excuse me, which is a recruiter who has a rather good sense of humor. Why I like showing this one is that you can have a really different style. Each of you can have a different style for your LinkedIn summary. So much more freedom here than on your resume, which is very, one page, and it's very strict. Here, I can show off my personality. And he's done it with his first statement, talent community builder and pipeline populating magician. And he also says right here at the almost the bottom one, he says any tech, any ATS, which is applicant tracking system, any challenge, any day. So he's this like, I can do it kind of attitude. Okay, so that's Steve's. What we're going to do now is have each of you think about your profile. I'm going to actually, let me go back to here. Now that we've seen some samples and brought it to life a little bit, we're going to spend just a few minutes helping you brainstorm. So brainstorm means you just write whatever comes to you. We're not going to actually try and write a summary, but we're going to try and get some content down that you can then add to a summary later. So let's jump into these prep questions. On your laptop, you can just open up a Word document, or you can grab a piece of paper. And what I'd like you to do is to pick two of these questions. It could be, what's your dream job? So where are you headed? What is it that you want to position yourself for? Or you could start listing some of your strengths or talents, or some of your personality traits. So choose two of those questions and write down a couple of notes, and then we'll chat in a minute, okay? So take a moment on that. right, how we coming? Do we have any ideas so far that you could imagine building into your profile later on? Can either of you, any of you, share like one or two that you've thrown on your list so far? Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to repeat that. So what you most want to be known for, actually, I'm going to come over here and have you say it again. It's going to sound so much better. Say that again for me.
My contribution in anything that I do, and make sure that whatever I did was a positive experience.
Good. Anything from you? Yeah, great.
My dream job would be working with children with special needs. After completing an internship in early supports and services, I fell in love with the field.
All right, I love that last part. I fell in love with the field. So again, what I like about this summary is you get a little moment to show off who you are, and it can be more than your skill set. You can have this personality come out and talk about how you like to work or what you care about. So what I love to do is give homework assignments. I know that's crazy because I'm not back here on campus to make sure you did it, but my goal for each of you is to give yourself a deadline of 2 weeks and come up with 3 sentences. That shouldn't be too hard. Both of you in here, 2 people in here so far already have a good start on it. So if you just get 3 sentences down, instead of trying to make sure you have 3 paragraphs, you'll know you'll have something, and you can always go back and change it and add to it at a later point. So that would be my hope for you, is to have 3 sentences in 2 weeks. Okay, let's keep moving. And any questions so far? We're good? Okay, great. So where we are next is number 5, and that's sections. This component actually lets you customize LinkedIn to a great extent. Let's go here 1 second. All right, you need to be in edit mode to do this, so we'll go Profile and Edit Profile. And what you'll see is right underneath your top section, you'll see these different sections. We have language, volunteering, organizations, honors and awards. We have projects in here and courses and patents. It is an amazing amount of different sections that go unused unless you open them up and actually put information in there. Here's one of my favorite for students. It's the project section. So if you are an environmental science major and you did a semester-long project where you got to be out in the field and you got a chance to analyze lab results and you got a chance to write up the whole presentation and you worked with a team to do it, and it's related to that next internship or job that you want, fantastic. Use that project section to add in loads of detail about that particular project. Fantastic way to get keywords from your industry onto your profile, even if you haven't had the work experience yet. So I think it's one of the best secrets almost for current students. When you haven't graduated or you have only got 1 or 2 internships, you can really add to your profile by adding in projects. But of course, lots of other things that you can add in, organizations and courses. If you use courses, you don't need to list every course you took. Just list the ones that best relate to where you're headed for your next internship or for your job after graduation. Okay, so that's sections. I don't spend a lot of time on the experience section because it's really straightforward. So we are on number 6 on the handout. I'm going to scroll down to one of my jobs here. So for each of you, you can go in to your resume and you can drop your content in. You can do it in short paragraph or you can do it in bullets. The funny thing with bullets is you've got to go to someone else's profile on LinkedIn and do Control-C and then Control-V. You got to cut and paste a bullet from someone else's LinkedIn profile to bring it into yours. Feel free to use mine. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn if you'd like. You're welcome to. And again, you choose if you want bullets or short paragraph. And not a big deal, we're just bringing in from our resume, but you can make it longer than what's on your resume if you choose to. Resumes are so strict with the 1 page typically, so here you can go and say a little bit more. Okay, that's experience section. The next one is the skills section. If you don't already have the skills section in your profile, you're going to have to go up into sections and add it there. So again, go up into sections and pull it in. I already have the skills section, so I'm going to go down and show you what it looks like. So this is skills and endorsements. And what you want to do here is you want to write down some of those skills that you have, some of the keywords that are related to the kind of work you want to do. Don't get too hung up on endorsements. It's sort of the gamification of LinkedIn, if you will. It's such an easy one-click thing that recruiters don't take it super seriously. But what you do want to do is you want to customize the section and make sure that the skills you have are listed here. And this is what you do. You just hit add skill and you can type a word from the drop-down menu, or you can fully type your own word. So either way, like I can start typing interviews, whoops. And then I get different options that pop up, or I can keep typing and do my own customized. Okay, so that is skills and endorsements. Because these endorsements are now part of a LinkedIn profile, it means that recommendations have actually become more important. Now, what do I mean by that? Endorsements are too easy, just that one click that your first level connections can do. So now a recommendation, which means someone actually writes something about you, has more value. So let's just show you where recommendations are. And recommendations can come from a supervisor, but they can also come from a coworker. They can come from a client. They can come from a vendor. So you could be on an internship and you could have someone that you worked with on a project from a different department could recommend you. So think broadly about those recommendations. Here's Amy Mazer recommending me as my role when I'm doing workshop facilitator for a professional association. So it can also be really short. 2 sentences is okay for a recommendation. So this is one of the differentiators between a resume and your LinkedIn profile. And I would say really great to start getting them now, because they're going to build and they're going to follow you. They're going to come with you. So maybe in 10 years, you have 10 recommendations, or you have 5 recommendations. And if you went to an interview after having a couple of recommendations, you might print them out and leave them behind at the end of the interview. That's one of my tips. Any questions? We doing good? Okay. The next one is one of my favorites, and that's media links. Let me give you a visual, and then we'll talk about what they are. Actually, there are some right there. These are media links. They're a visual that grabs people's attention, and they represent some aspect of some work you've done, typically. So here you have, I've got slides from a workshop that I taught, some testimonials. This one was actually a word cloud. I took my summary and turned it into a word cloud using, I think it was Tagxedo. No, which one was it? Yes. Tagxedo, Tagxedo.com. So this is one example. Word clouds allow words that are said multiple times to show up bigger. So they're kind of fun. If you'd like to see additional examples of what you can do for content on these media links, you can jump into this blog post called 18 Ways to Turn Your Profile into a Portfolio. I'm going to show you the how-to, but I wanted you to know these examples are here. So one of the simplest things you can do as a media link is you can link to the home page of an internship or part-time job that you held. So super simple. If you worked at the Marriott Hotel and you're in the hospitality sector and you had a summer job there, you can jump into that home page and bring it in right underneath your description of your summer job or your internship. So very fast, simple thing that you can have. Now, you can take it a step further and you can think back, well, did I do any presentations in the last couple of years for class? Do I have a good PowerPoint I might be able to pull in here? Have I ever written something that I could save as a PDF and upload? Maybe I had a presentation videotaped once. You can upload or link to a YouTube video. So there's a lot of different options. One example I like to say is you can also build something. let's say that I was heading into education. And one of the things that I've done is a lot of volunteer work at maybe just 2 or 3 different organizations. I could go in and I could even grab the logos of those organizations and put them all together on a PowerPoint slide. And on the next slide, I could talk about my commitment to this volunteer work. And if I even had some photos of myself working with some of the individuals at that nonprofit, I could include that so I could make it more lively. So we can take anything from a volunteer work to an academic project and bring it to life on here, something you already have or create new. So everyone, I think, could come up with at least 1 or 2 media links, making your profile stand out to those recruiters that are giving you that 10 seconds when they look at your profile. So I think it makes it much more robust and exciting and makes people want to know more about you. They want to click and see what's up. So let's show you how you actually do media links. We go into our edit mode. You can add them to your summary. You can add them to your experience section, and you can add them to education. I'm going to go down to the summary section here. The funny thing is, it's hidden until you scroll over it. And it's one of those things I wish LinkedIn didn't do. So hover over your right-hand corner in the summary section or in the experience section, etc. Look for the box with the plus sign. When I click on that, I can now either upload a file or I can pull in a URL. So let's just say I wanted to pull in my LinkedIn section here. I'm going to go Control-C. I'm going to jump back here. Oh, and you need some perseverance with this. Sometimes it doesn't work the first time. I was doing this with a colleague about 2 weeks ago. It took 4 tries. I don't know why. It's very bizarre. But just know that if it doesn't work the first time, it's not you, it's them. And I'm going to hit the Continue button. And we'll see if we get lucky and see if I get it on the first try. And I did. Now I have the ability to edit my title and add in detail. So be sure to think about that title. What do you want to call it? I like starting out with the media. Is it a presentation? Is it a blog? Is it a website? So I like to do that all in caps, because then people can really easily figure out what it is. And then I give it my title, and I add my description. Okay, so I'm going to cancel out of that. Any questions on media links? And do you guys, could you imagine adding some media links? Are some ideas coming to your mind about things? Anybody have one they could share, or you're just kind of still thinking about it? Thinking about it. Okay, great. Again, when you graduate or you're going into an internship, you're competing against other people at that time. This is one way to really differentiate yourself and show off more of your work examples at the same time. It's a great tool. Number 10 is visual header. Let me go into the top so you can show you that. Okay. This ability to add some kind of a color or image used to be for premium LinkedIn users only, and now all LinkedIn users get to do this. So you could go and actually take a photograph and upload the JPEG, or you could find one, make sure it's not copyrighted and things like that. This one happened to be, I think it was called Hampstead Heath. It was a park just north of London. And I happened to be, the day that the LinkedIn allowed us to do this, that was the only one I had on my computer when I was at work at Northeastern, and I just dropped it in. And then I decided to leave it because I did like it. For me, it matches the green on my website, so it's a little bit of a theme, being nature and outdoors. So you can do anything. You can do a sunset. I saw an engineer put a circuit board up there, so it can tie to your work, your career, your academic major, or it can just be a cool scenic. So lots of flexibility there, and it's a quick thing to do. All right, we are going to shift out of our sort of profile building and shift over into our network building. So I'm going to go back into PowerPoint if I can get there. Hang on one second, see if I can get. There we go. Okay. This first bullet, you guys already know. This is the idea that you want to grow your connections on LinkedIn. So you can think back to people you worked with, different part-time jobs or internships, classmates, friends. family. Now, some people are like, well, what good does it do to have, Aunt Emily as my connection? She's a therapist, and that's not the field I want to go into. The idea here is that Aunt Emily, who's a therapist, might also happen to know photographers, and maybe you're trying to become a photographer, an artist of some sort. So we think really broadly about the people we connect with, because it's not just them, it's the people they happen to know. When you do send out those invitations, it's really great to send out a customized version of the invite. Add in their name, something about some connection you have with them. It might have been like, it was great to take you in microeconomics. It was great to meet you last semester in microeconomics. Thought it'd be nice to connect here on LinkedIn. So just something simple, and the words thank you. As we talk about LinkedIn, we're going to be talking about first, second, third, and group. These are the level of the connection. So for a quick example, Susan and I, Susan from the your Career Center, is my first level connection. Anybody she's connected with would be my second level connection. Those are the ones you want to pay the most attention to. And then group is another favorite, and we're going to go into lots of details on that for the last part of our program. If, however, Susan had someone in her connection base that would be my second level, I could actually ask her for an introduction. I could send her a message through LinkedIn, or I could do it through regular email, my choice. But if I do it through LinkedIn, the directions on how to do that are listed right on your handout. So I'm not going to go through the actual how-to, but just know there's a formal introduction process that you can do within LinkedIn. Okay. Our next one, having to do with building your network, is kind of similar to Facebook. You can post different things on your homepage, and your first level connections or your friends on that social media will see those posts. This is a great place to start to think about your professional interactions. This would be a place to find a great blog and post it. You can also go in and see what have other people been posting. Okay, and you can hit the like button or the comment button. And you can have these interactions. It's especially useful as you start to grow in your career and you have more and more and more first-level connections that are in your same industry. So think about this one as something that you want to aspire to, especially as you grow. Maybe you don't spend the time doing a ton of it right now, but know it's there, and that you can enhance your connections with your existing network by sharing this way. All right, now starting to get into some of the even more juicy stuff is the idea that you can join groups. You can join a Roger Williams group, you can join an industry group, and through those groups you can actually send messages most of the time to any group member. We're going to go in and give some examples, but just know this is probably my favorite part about LinkedIn. My favorite part of profile is probably media links. My favorite part of the tool as a whole is probably the ability to send a message to a group member. We're going to take the concept of informational interviewing, we're going to explain it, and then we're going to bring it in to LinkedIn. But first we got to get an idea about what this tool is. And if Susan doesn't mind, I'm going to come and pick on her. Can I do that? Awesome. Makes it more interesting. My voice, gets lame after a while. In the Career Center, both of us, being career counselors, often recommend informational interviews. Is there anything in particular you could say to kind of start describing informational interviews, or have you ever done any, or had any students do any?
Sure. Well, it's really the best way to find information. So for a student, if you have an interest in a particular field, it's always a nice way to reach out to an alumnus and try to set up even a meeting, have a cup of coffee, something like that, to find out what is the day in the life of a mechanical engineer or an electrical engineer, or how does an engineer work at this company. And it's really a great way to talk about not only the job and the responsibilities, but also how you can gain skills while you're still in school to help leverage your job search. So you're building your skill set, which then you're thereby building your resume, so you have all of the information you need actually before you need it. So it just helps you to have a better sense of what the expectations are once you leave the university.
Oh, she said it so much better than I do. very in-depth. Let's pretend that you did an informational interview. You're an electrical engineer, and you talked to someone at EMC up in Boston. And it was, you know, maybe it's a few months before you're graduating. Maybe a month or two later, you see that there's a junior EE position open at EMC. There's a good chance you could reach back out to the person that you talked to and ask them a few more questions about that particular role and about the culture and about the skills that they might be looking for in that job. So you could get a leg up on how to sculpt your resume and your cover letter for the job by knowing someone who's already there. And if you made a really good connection and a good impact on that person might even forward your resume to the HR department for you, in addition to you going online to fill out the application. When a resume comes in from an internal employee, it has a lot more weight, or I should say it often goes to the top of the pile, because an employee isn't going to recommend someone that they didn't like or didn't think had some capability. So I really love the idea of informational interviews as twofold. One, getting amazing information and leads about different skills or different groups you should join or professional associations or learning about a particular company's culture, all those things, all that information. And then then the other piece being you have a potential connection that might be able to help you in the future, and the other way around. Maybe you can help them in the future too. So it's not just a one-way street with informational interviewing. So what we say is that it's an opportunity to ask for advice and information, but you're never asking for a job that would put them too much on the spot. It's more about developing a connection and gaining the info. And this is the quick recap about informational interviewees. I did one once when I was in my early mid-20s. I didn't even know the word informational interviewing back then, but I was leaving the field I was in marketing, corporate marketing, and I was interested in education. This informational interview that I did was about outdoor education at a local school. Let's see, I think it was about 9 months later, I heard there was an opening there for a part-time outdoor education facilitator. I was heading into grad school. I heard about the opening through the grapevine. 2 phone calls later, I'd landed the job. It was so cool. I was like, I didn't know that I was planting seeds at this organization. I didn't know I was going to end up working there, but I was following my curiosity. And that word, curiosity, is often the word that I say to job seekers. It's one of your best attributes, is to be curious. Because if you're curious, you're seeking information, and you're asking lots of questions, and then you're following up with people. So allow curiosity to be something that helps you grow your network and uncover connections and uncover opportunities. So what we're going to do now is we're going to jump back into LinkedIn, and we're going to put this informational interviewing concept into action, specifically in the idea of reaching out through groups. So let's see if I can get ourselves back over here. Find my mouse here. There it is. Okay. Let's jump in and look up Roger Williams. Now, when I start typing your university and I hit enter, I'm going to get their home page or their company page and lots of other things. So what I need to do is I need to go over to the left and I need to change it to groups. And now I see Roger Williams University Alumni and Career Network with 2,500 members. So this is one in particular that you want to consider joining. And you can join, this is the one you can join at, I'm going to ask Susan, that you can join even while you're still a student. Is that correct? Okay, great. So another thing you can do besides your university groups is to consider going in and let's just take, we were talking engineering earlier. Let me go with mechanical. I'm still in groups. Mechanical Engineering Forum has 131,000 members. Holy smokes, that's a lot of people. So you can scroll through these using all different keywords from your major or your areas of interest, and you can actually join up to 50 groups. It's pretty amazing. Let's, I'm going to go into one of my Rhode Island groups. Let's see. Once you're in a group, you can hover over interests and hit groups so that you can get into your groups that you've already joined. I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to go into Rhode Island Network Group. You're welcome to join this one, especially if you're going to stay in Rhode Island after graduation or if you're looking for an internship. It has 11,000 members. And one of the things I can do is I can actually search the members. So this Members tab, open it up. There we go. Okay. How about I try, I'm going to put it in quotes, financial analyst. How many are going to come up? Let's see. Wow, I got 97. Now that's good because I can, with a free account, see the first 100. So that's kind of nice. I can see all 97. So what do I see here is I see this person, Tim Davis, is a financial analyst, director, digital distribution at Fidelity Investments. If they're a second degree connection, I can see their full profile. But even if I can't see it, I've got a bit of information here to already kind of know what this person does. And right here, it says send message. Some people in a group set their profile up so that it does not allow you to send messages, but it's pretty infrequent. So now, all right, I'd love to do an informational interview with Tim, but what do I actually say? I want to not sound too needy. I don't want to make it too long, but I need to tell this person what it is that what I'm after. So let me jump back into the website here and go to sample request for informational interviewing. And this will give you a little bit of idea about what's professional. This first sentence says, through an alumni LinkedIn group, I discovered that you currently work in HR information management. As I finish up my degree in HR and management, I'm contacting fellow alums. Oh, great to try for alums first, by the way. You have a closer connection to them. So, contacting fellow alums in related fields for advice. This person goes on to say, the work of an HRIS analyst greatly interests me. I realize it's not an entry-level position, but I'd really love to understand what your position demands, what's the career path that you followed, and what do you see as some of the pros and cons of this kind of work? This continues on, and it says they're just asking for 20 minutes of this person's time. Whoops. And then you're leaving your contact information in the message. Now, what do you think? Is everybody going to say yes to an informational meeting? No. So one of the things I say is jump on LinkedIn one night and see if you can find, say, 10 different people who have interesting jobs that you'd like to talk to. And the hope would be that you get a chance to talk to one or two. So you got to have a little bit of an armor up with rejection, and don't think of it that way. Instead, just say, you know, I need a little bit of perseverance. I need to reach out to multiple people in the hopes of having that one conversation. Most of the students I talk to will say, Sabrina, it was worth it. That it can be one informational interview, but it can also lead to other ones because they might be able to refer you to other people at their company or other people in the industry. And most people will say they've gotten something good out of those informational meetings. So let's jump back in here, to LinkedIn. Any questions on that? Do you guys think that would be something you could do? Would you feel somewhat comfortable, you think, possibly reaching out, asking a couple of questions that might be good for you to learn about before you embark on your first position or before you start applying for jobs? Yeah? It's one of my favorites, informational interviews. What I'm going to show you now is, let me just jump on here. I'm going to show you that you can also you can go to advanced search. I should say this. On your handout, it's spelled out how you can put in information on advanced search and then select group members this way. Once you find out that someone has the same group as you, you can cut and paste their name and go into the group to then message them. See, if I try and message somebody not inside the group, it's going to tell me I need to log in, I need to pay for LinkedIn, I need to be a subscriber. So you can go the advanced people search way, which is spelled out on the handout, but it takes a little bit longer, but it searches all of your groups at once. So that's one of the advantages. Now, one other way you can look at people is a really cool one under connections. So hover over connections and go and do find alumni. I can go to this page. Northeastern University is where I did my bachelor's degree, so it's going to automatically pop up. But I'm going to go over here and I'm going to change the university. I'm going to scroll down here. And then I can type in a new name. Oh, there we go, Roger Williams. Okay, now, oh wow, we've got 18,500 individuals have LinkedIn profiles that either go to or graduated from Roger Williams. And I can see them down below, but I can also change the information. So what if I was actually heading to New York City, okay? I could say, wow, this is who I want to reach out to, people in New York City. I could then choose the category of what they do, and there's a little arrow over here on the right where I can actually select by major, or what they're skilled at, or how you're connected. So I could go, say, into architecture, if that was your major. Now I've got 314 Roger Williams students and alums that studied architecture that are in New York City. What a cool thing, if you're an architecture major, to be able to look at it this way. I could then select group members. Now, I'm obviously not in the any Roger Williams group, so my number here is 9. It's really low. But if I joined the Roger Williams group, that number would go up much higher. So just know that this is another really nice way to see the individuals who are working in your major in your target city. What do you guys think? Kind of cool? I love this. I like the visuals to just see their names pop up and see where they're working. It also can get you excited about your field when you see all those different places they've ended up. Okay, so yes, you can search it by a skill, a major, a location, and also a company name. So you might say, ooh, where are they working? Or reverse it. You can also clear all, and you could put in, let's go back to my EMC example for a second. I could find out, is anyone working there? And I got 26 people. And then I can see what they're doing. 5 of them are in human resources. Ooh, that's kind of nice. Some connections in HR is a good thing to have, right? Okay. We've got a few more minutes here. What I want to take you to next is a different topic. Towards the bottom of your handout, it says, search your friends' first-level connections. So this is an interesting one. You might be, say, moving to a different city. One I like to try and do and play with is, I've got a really good friend in Miami. Her name is Nancy Richmond. I'm going to go to her profile right now. And she's used to be in Boston, and now she's down in Florida. If I was making a move to Florida, I might want to go in and search her connections, because she would easily forget all the people that she's connected to. So I can go down all the way to where her connections are listed. She's got a robust profile, so hang in there with me till I can find it. This only works for first-level connections. Here we go. Okay, so I'm down at her connections. I've got a little search bar right here. So let's say I wanted to do something related to sustainability. Just picking fields left and right here randomly, but sustainability, hopefully I spelled that right, and Miami. Let's see if anything comes up. I haven't done this search before. Oh, I didn't actually get any. Let me try something else. Let's try finance. I might have also spelled it wrong. Okay, well, 294. I got too many that time. Let's pretend that number was a little smaller. I could then go and look through this list and see where those people are working that Nancy's connected to. And then I could email Nancy or give her a call or ask for an introduction formally through LinkedIn to see if she knows that person well enough to refer me. So really fun. Again, if you're targeting an industry where you have one friend that you know well, or you're targeting a city, you're heading to San Francisco, and you've got 2 friends out there or a family member, you can go and search their LinkedIn connections and then talk with them and see, oh, would you know this person well enough to allow me to get their contact information from you, or could you make an introduction for me? I'd love to just do an informational meeting with them or have a quick cup of coffee just to pick their brain a little bit. So very few people know about that, so you guys are getting the advanced tips today. I'm going to stop and say, any questions as we're going along? Are we good? We're good. Okay. I've got 2 more topics, but they're very quick ones. The one I don't spend a whole lot of time on is job search itself. There's, here we go, a jobs button. Keep in mind, there are multiple places where jobs show up. They show up on the home page because recruiters that you're a first level connection to will post them on the home page. They show up in groups, in the jobs section of a group, and they show up in the formal section here called jobs. Sometimes students will say, oh, they're all mid-level or advanced level jobs. I need entry level. It's several clicks in, but I'm going to show you guys how to find the entry level jobs. What you're going to do first is jump over to advanced search in the right-hand corner. So we'll click there. The next button you're going to need to do is way down at the bottom. It says in blue, more options. So we're not adding in any criteria yet. We're digging a little further. Now, 2 clicks in, we get to this place where it will actually say experience level. It's the very last button right there. Experience level. Whoops. Let me get rid of that. I open that up. Now it's going to give me the option related to entry level. I can check this box, and then I can go back up, and I can put in a keyword or a company or a job title, location, etc. And it's going to pull those entry-level positions into my search. So I'm going to be a little less frustrated looking through the basic search when I get too many there mid-level. Okay, so that's the best job search tool tip I have. The rest of it's really straightforward. It's just going to be similar to if you're on Simply Hired or Indeed or on the Roger Williams website, searching jobs at the job board there. So the last one on our list, though, is explore company pages. I can go up here. I wonder if Mullen Advertising, what are they called? I was talking about this company the other day. I don't know if that's their full name. Let's just see if anything, oh, it's not coming up. Let me try Arnold. Arnold Worldwide, I think it is. I'm going to go to change this. Oops, I'm in jobs still. That's the problem. Let me go to companies. You can always switch over on that left bar. And let me try if I add the word worldwide. What I want to do is I want to show you a company page. There we go. Okay, here's Arnold Worldwide. I'm going to click on it. Let's just say I was targeting an advertising job and I'd heard about Arnold up in Boston and thought, oh, this would be a really cool place to work. I can find out what positions they have open. It's probably going to be a repeat of what they have over here in the corner. They've got a senior designer, a copywriter, art director, and then it's giving you the link to their jobs on their website. I'm also able to see recent updates, what's been going on with them. If I'm interested in a job at Arnold, a really cool thing to do is to interact with their posts. So actually post questions or make a comment on something that they've put on their homepage here on their company page. Over here in the corner, you see how you're connected. I've got 1 first-degree connection, and I have 149 second-degree connections. Pretty amazing. So I can see, you know, who could I reach out to? And then up here, there are 23,000 people following the company. If I hit that yellow follow button, all it means is that their updates are going to end up on my homepage. So if next time they post for an open job, I'm going to be able to see it if I happen to be on LinkedIn at that time. The homepage, just so people can see what that looks like, includes things that are going on within my network. Oops. Trying to get rid of that bar. There we go. So we can see my first level connections are posting information. So here's Greg posting the ultimate guide to wearables. Here's Aaron posting something. 1 week from draft, so many great things in the works for this organization. I actually read this one earlier. It says, want to be more creative, meditate on it. And here's my comment. You guys can see how I've added my feedback, right? So that's the home page. And different jobs will post on here, especially for companies that I'm following. So, let me just come back up here, see if there's anything I left off. Some quick, just overview things as we wrap up is that this is where I have my messages and my invitations, and I can go in my archive, or I can see my sent file, who I've reached out to or who I've talked to. And notifications relates to Erica is now a connection, because I had invited her to connect with me because I liked her post. And 8 people have liked my update that I posted, and then lots of people are doing publishing, which means they're blogging right on LinkedIn. So these are my notifications, and often I'll look at it so I can interact with people. When friends of mine post their own blogs, I'll often read them and hit the like button so that I can help them spread their information on LinkedIn. So it's a really robust tool, so much going on, so much so that I actually teach day-long sessions about LinkedIn to career counselors. Again, day-long sessions, because there's so much in here that you can actually do. So today's session was really sort of like tip of the iceberg, hopefully to get you motivated and excited about the tool and have you feel a little bit more savvy. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up, but I'll stick around after we close in case you guys have last-minute questions. Again, my name's Sabrina Woods, and thank you so much for being here today.